What's up, everyone? This is ya boys, and we are doing a replay review from a giveaway that we did last week, which is the Battlecup giveaway. And essentially what it is people had to set their Battlecup team name to Dota Alchemy and win the Battlecup, and we randomly picked one of the winners. I think there were like 7 or 8 total that won Battlecup. And so we're just going to give them a sort of like a team replay review session as a prize for that. We will probably do some more of these in the future as well. So make sure that you're following us on all the social medias. It's at Dota Alchemy on Instagram, Twitter, of course, YouTube. And if you want some more replay review and coaching content, check out Dota Alchemy on Patreon, patreon.com/Dota Alchemy. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with the draft, which is something we don't usually get to do.
So I actually really do like this as an opener, Lina Sand King, because obviously it's a really strong laning duo. But Lina can also flex to be mid if you need her to. Sand King, if you are, feeling feisty, you can run the Sand King as a pause 4 as well. So these heroes are flexible, but also just a really strong laning duo.
Yeah, the stun and to stun combo is really nasty, and they can shove the lane super hard and dive under tower very easily as well.
Yeah. The only problem here that I would say is if you are committing these heroes to absolutely being the offlaner and the 4, you're revealing the lane, which gives them the carry counter pick. But of course, that's why them being flex heroes is good. So if you're okay with flexing it, then this is significantly better of an opening, which I would assume that you probably are cool flexing, because let's be real, most mid players play Lina.
So if you were playing this lane in one of your pubs or in competitive, if you were Sand King with Alina, who would you not want to lane against? Is there anybody in particular?
No, this lane beats anything, honestly.
Okay.
This beats almost anything. I would say you probably ban like OP heroes that you just like don't want to play the game against. Something like maybe Gyrocopter, Kunkka if you don't want to pick it, OD, things like that. The Night Stalker ban I like, the Abaddon ban I like because they're OP, but I think Jug and Slark are 2 kind of like mediocre heroes and wasted bans. Unless, like I said, you're seeing that this pop-up pro group of players is maining these heroes, then of course banning them is fine.
So anything of note in the second phase that you can think of? Lifestealer third?
No, this seems okay. Like Undying, you see what both of the supports are, so there's not going to be some sort of like Dazzle coming out that's going to just like hard counter this hero in the lane. So that it's going to be an easy lane for Undying to secure, and then you can kind of just pick like any carry that you want. They pick Bristle, so Lifestealer will lane pretty decently against that if that is an offlaner. But I think Undying Lifestealer will lane okay against anything, because like I said, you see the supports. Yeah,
Lifestealer also gives you the counter to the Will-O-Wisp, which is super important when you're playing against Coddle.
True. Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. You always need some hero to hit that thing. Otherwise,
it's really hard to win. Yeah,
you're just going to lose the Coddle and have a really bad time. So they ban the Viper. They have last pick. You're going to see where the Bristle's role is now. So they can pick a carry. And they do pick a carry. They pick a PA. So let me see. So you have a last pick mid. I would say that Gyrocopter is really good right now because it dumpsters the TA. It's really good against PA because it's just a bunch of magical damage. It'll do fine versus Bristle. You need a hero to be fast. I think picking a slow hero could be very dangerous right now because your lifesteal is already pretty slow. And Undying is your other heroes want to fight. Just want to make space for your lifestealer. I think that'd be like a really good draft. And I don't think you want to go like super late game against them. You want to have some timing with like the Lifestealer Radiance. Oh, that's pretty decent. I mean, it's a tempo mid. I don't think it does particularly well against TA. I think you'll do fine, but it's a good tempo mid, and
it's pretty good against TA and PA though, in like the mid game too with Windrun.
Because you can't die. You just can't die to these heroes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Wind Ranger's a pretty good pick. This is a good draft. I think these guys picked a really good draft, and the draft order that they picked it in was pretty good as well. Yep. Like the enemy team totally fucked up when they first picked 2 supports. And I'm not trying to flame. I'm just saying for the purpose of winning Dota, you really don't want to first pick 2 guaranteed supports. It means that
it's too transparent.
You're gonna lose both side lanes,
yeah.
Guaranteed. And if you lose both side lanes to a team that has last pick mid, you're fucked. You lose. Like this draft, this in my opinion was a huge draft win. So my first piece of advice here is that Lina should have a Bassi instead of a lot of regen, and your SK should have a salve instead of those branches. He should have a salve and the same items, and then you have your position 5 because it's an undying pool 1 tango to the Lina. This lane, you're going to spam a lot of mana, and you're against a physical damage hero. It's going to be like PA or Bristle, most likely PA.
Yeah, PA.
So like the Bassi armor, and then also the mana and the damage, like the Lina just hitting from long range, the damage is really good. I think Bassi is like way better for sustaining in this lane. Bristle Caudle, this is a cancer ass lane. You gotta be really careful here playing into this.
Fighting here is even though you're undying, it's just kind of bad because Lifestealer is like one of the worst level 1 fighters in the game.
So, in my opinion, this top lane, the mistake that's being made is going for Sandstorm. This is a PA. It's a melee hero that can't lane at all if you have Caustic, and you have a shitload of regen, so she can't harass you at all either. And then the Caustic is also way better for farming and pushing and cutting without using mana. It's just greedier. That's why people don't go for it in games where you like need the Sandstorm. So number 1, the typical build on Sand King is to go for 2-0-1 in this game where you have a Lina, and then you max out your W. But with that being said, this is a little bit less important than what I'm about to say right now. You guys should be playing the right side of the lane. This Grimstroke should not be able to get the pull off. If you see the Grimstroke in the lane, then it's fine to just keep trading. But the moment he leaves like this, you need to head over and contest this.
Right. Yeah, that was actually a really good pull by him.
Too. Yeah, that was really sweet.
And now SK's over here farming it, even though he doesn't really need to be. But you want to clear the camp so they can't keep pulling, which now makes your Lina have to lane 2v1 against a lane that can get aggressive against her.
The laning stage is a little bit weird when doing like replay analysis because you kind of have to backtrack to watch every lane. Whereas once the mid game starts, we can start talking about like, you know,
the whole team. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So this lane is Bristle Caudle. In my opinion, they're supposed to win this lane. So if you can just put decays on them just to give your Lifestealer a little bit of farm and pull the lane back as much as possible, you're going to be relatively happy here.
Right. It's a little hard to pull in this lane too, though, just because they have Caudle plus Bristle who are kind of constantly pushing the lane.
You cannot outpush them with Lifestealer and Undying. No way.
And you don't want to just get stuck in kind of like the middle area. Like if they're going to shove the lane into you, just let them shove the lane into you, and then.
Yeah. I think single pulls are good because it'll shove a double wave into them. I think that's why single pulls would be good here. Look at this Lifestealer. He doesn't really care about this.
Right.
Most other heroes would, but not Lifestealer. Not when there's an Undying.
Yeah, you guys both have sticks. I wouldn't go for Tombstone level 2. I would definitely get a point.
You definitely want the Soul Rip. Yeah, it's just in case. In case here, you know.
Just to save your Lifestealer, or perhaps to get a burst kill if somebody gets super out of position. You definitely go 1-1, and then you can think about a second point in Soul Rip or just max Tombstone.
This lane is honestly kind of a snooze fest because of the matchup and the nature of it. Although I think if you're not dying down here and you're just farming, your understanding of this lane is correct. And I mean, killing him is tremendous, obviously, because you're really not supposed to be able to. Yep. And this is when you just immediately start positioning towards the left side of the lane. And go for their bounty right now. Look at the Caudle. That's
you want to bait him into fighting you for the bounty so you can get another kill, basically.
You just go, you just walk through the river. That's a 30% HP Caudle that's getting a free rune.
Yep.
In a losing lane.
Almost got 2 runes actually.
Dude, it's 250 gold at this point. That's like 2 entire creep waves. I think really the only lane that has like a significant amount of action in it is probably going to be the top lane. I mean, that's how it should be, but the enemy team kind of fucked up the bot lane. I would say that Windranger probably wants to... I need to stop pronouncing it like that. Everybody calls me out when I say that. Windranger probably wants to make some rotations and get some towers. I think that the top tower is relatively free because you have SK Lina. Like if you can go at the 10-minute mark, it's really good. 5-minute mark, it's really good as well.
Mm-hmm.
To just go with that catapult, like 5 to 6 minute, 10 to 11 minute. Like what this guy's doing is really good.
the.
One sec. I do want to see what the Wind Ranger did during the TA rotation. You see TA top. All right.
Definitely go focus fire the tower.
This is a mistake.
Yeah.
This is. I'm not sure what you're doing. Because normally what would be the mistake is people go jungle. But you need to go hit the tower. If the PA or if the TA is rotating, you either need to be hitting its tower or you need to be killing somebody somewhere else or in the TA's lane. Right. You absolutely cannot be doing nothing because then there is no trade for the rotation.
Yeah.
I think that you're very kill hungry. You're a little too kill hungry here when kills don't really progress the game forward unless you're getting objectives from it. I think that a big problem here, and this is something that I believe is very common in Ancient and Divine bracket, is that the lanes are exactly the same as they were at
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Just consider the map at like 0 minutes. Very different from the 5 minute map, right? At 5 minutes, everybody has like 4 or 5 levels. It's dark, so vision is reduced by half. These weird things called siege catapults are spawning, and they do more damage to towers. And of course, towers are very important. I don't know if I said this part before, but I'm going to say it again if I did. Heroes all have levels now, so we have new skills that we can use. Bounty runes also spawn at 5 minutes. It's very unlikely. It's very unlikely to me that in a game, in almost any game of Dota, that the lanes shouldn't change at 5 minutes with all of that shit piling on where the game is now different from at the 0 minute mark. What are the chances if you are mathematically trying to figure out where the best place to put all of your heroes are in order to get the best farm on the map, that it stays exactly the same as when all of those constraints at the 0 minute mark were different?
Yeah.
And I think in this game that the Wind Ranger should probably have taken at least 2 towers. You should be rotating. You could give your mid to the Undying or to the Lina to get some levels. Your Lifestealer probably wants to play in the safe lane alone because it's likely that he doesn't need the Undying there anymore, which means the Undying, who probably has 3 points in Tombstone right now, probably wants to be fighting towards the top tower. So I think what should probably be happening is the Lina should be playing like towards top and mid, like pushing out the lane and then connecting with top. SK, Wind Ranger, Undying should be playing top and trying to get towers and just running around and take the mid tower after the top tower. And Lifestealer should be protecting the bot tower alone, with the entire team having the intent of TPing in and defending him if they do try to dive him, because he's very difficult to dive. And I think that way you're going to get way more farm off the map. You're going to take towers, which means they're going to farm less. And then when you get to the 15-minute mark, the game's going to look a lot different. You're going to have like a 5 to 6K gold lead if you just make that change between like 5 to 6 minutes. So yeah. I mean, this is okay the way the game is set up now, but it's really late in my opinion.
Yeah, and the Undying could have been top to dive the tower with Tombstone, like fighting with the team. Like this is your team fight spell basically. So
yeah, it's like a Ravage.
Yeah.
So the biggest problem here is that, in my opinion, I think that the Lina is probably better to go mid, because if she can get core farm, she's going to be crazy strong, and Undying doesn't really matter. And he honestly wants to fight.
Yeah.
And then Lina can rotate as well. So, like I said, in my opinion, I think that this is like a suboptimal way. But the worst part about this is that this is 6 minutes too late. I would prefer to see a slightly suboptimal orientation of the map, but way earlier, than to see an optimal orientation of the map, but 6 minutes too late. So, like, if you did this exact orientation at 6 minutes, they can't fight you here, and this just is a free tower. But now it's hard because you've given them time to come online. Both of their supports have their ultimates. Like, at 6 minutes, they don't have those.
How do you feel about this just diving the bottom?
I would say you probably want to make them play into you. I don't think you need to dive. You just wait for them to like come into you, and you just hit the tower. Like, I don't think they can really stop you from pushing.
Yeah. Also, in an ideal world,
linking onto them is dangerous.
In an ideal world, I also don't like the fact that you guys are taking you're now just starting to approach taking a fight at their tower while the other team is already hitting yours. Like, usually, you want to think about Dota in terms of trade. So you have 4 heroes committed to this. Meanwhile, they're taking your exact same tower with only 2 heroes. This is better for them.
Yeah, because they're losing. Can you click on Lifestealer quickly?
Sure.
And can we watch Lifestealer for the maybe go back like 10, 20 seconds and watch Lifestealer?
Sure.
All right. This is when you should be immediately heading towards top on Lifestealer because you see 2 heroes in the lane pushing it. If you click your camera up there, you can just see that they're angling to push this.
Yep.
And you can TP bot to go to your team. Like, your job on a carry is to deal with lanes while you're doing this, like, bullshit, I'm just farming away from my team sort of thing. Like, you can be effective by not allowing this tower to take 50% damage while farming the exact same amount.
Right, and you would have gotten a bounty run as well had you come up here earlier instead of letting PA get both.
Not having a TP is also just in the first place a big problem. You always want to buy 2 TPs because if your team is feeding bot, you should, like, if the enemy team goes and dives your tier 1 bot, you should be able to show up to that. Keep pushing that lane. Don't be afraid. Like, you're going to the safest area on the map as a hero who's immortal. The enemy team has literally no way of canceling your rage TP. So you're taking, like, less strategically important farm for almost no reason. Like, there's no purpose of being, you don't get more farm from being in the triangle.
Right.
In fact, like, you're supplying yourself with eventual farm by being top and pushing it in, because then you can farm your way backwards towards your triangle. And even if the enemy team, like, assaults your area and tries to, like, you know, push out the lane that you're in and, oh, let's push this lifesteal out of here, you'll be farming backwards, so it won't matter. Right. So, like, even if they go and make a play on your team, or just something happens on the map where your farm gets, like, limited, it can't happen if you're farming backwards, because they literally have to move their heroes, and in the time that you're doing that, they're doing that, you're farming. So that's why it's really important to shove a lane and farm backwards, shove a lane, farm backwards, shove a lane, farm backwards on a carry.
All right, so tower goes down. Looks like we have a team fight brewing. We've got a smoke play into the top side of the map to collapse on this PA.
I think this is okay, going towards the PA.
Yeah,
Wind Ranger pushes the mid lane in.
Playing to your Lifestealer.
Oh, that is something very unfortunate. Okay, this is a good gank, good smoke. Get the PA. This is when, yeah, you want somebody to be grabbing the mid wave. Wind Ranger really does not need to be doing this right now. You just need to grab the mid wave and collapse with top. I mean, I guess it's okay to have the whole team collapse here. Once again, I think Wind Ranger is very obsessed with getting kills.
Right.
And you just need to, like, move towards towers.
Yeah.
Think about how you take the towers as safely as possible.
Towers always more important than kills.
But grabbing that mid wave is good. You just grab it and you run to your team and you ignore the bristle. And if he fights into you, well, then you kill him. But you fought into them.
And that's when you back out.
So my point still stands, in my opinion, that
pointless
you
fight.
get no tower for this. You get no tower, and they just clean up, and it's just dead even. The fight doesn't really matter that much.
Right.
Like, you're not progressing the game forward with this massive advantage, and you have a free farm Lifestealer who's been doing literally whatever he wants.
Yep.
And I believe that you're giving the enemy team way too... I mean, look at the gold. Like, you all die, and it goes down by 1k. And you respawn, and then goes back up. But you're not getting objectives with your lead. Like, you want to be progressing the game forward with your lead. Even though you have this Lifestealer, I think that you can... I mean, you've been playing aggressively on their side of the map. And anytime you're playing aggressively for kills, you want to be doing it for towers. Otherwise, if you just want to farm and wait for this Lifestealer to get huge, then you just want to play the map. You don't want to be, like, fighting as 4. You know?
Right. Just shove the waves and then
play on your side of the map. Be safe. Cool. I don't know. I think, like, Ancient to Divine players are generally high skill enough to determine what spells to press in fights. I mean, we saw it there. We saw the double burrow. That was sick. We saw the shackles.
Right.
Mechanics were good. It's just the problem is fighting for no reason. That's the real problem. So I don't want to, like, try to fabricate and find something that went wrong in a team fight when the fight shouldn't have happened in the first place, because that's what's going to lose the most games.
Sure.
And I think they just won this because they're much higher skill than the enemy team. Also, I think that the draft was a huge win. I think this is like an 80-20 draft.
Congratulations on your win. Thanks for participating in this little contest. I'm sure that we'll probably do this again sometime soon, so make sure that you are paying attention to our social media channels, because that's where we announce them. This one was announced on Instagram. The next one might be on Twitter. The next one might be on YouTube. Who knows? And as always, thanks for watching. Jenkins, any last words for all of our best friends out there in the YouTube universe.
I love you.